TJ Chambers here, ADHD Smart Guy from ADHDawareness.com. And I want to talk to you about the most important thing to help someone with ADHD and help reduce their symptoms. And that is by changing the diet. And this is the most important thing out of everything that you can do, because the diet affects the symptoms. And if you do good things to help relieve the symptoms and then the diet's not good, then that's going to negate all the work that's been done. And so, for example, in my personal life, I was doing pretty well with my symptoms, had them reduced to where they weren't noticeable even by doctors. When I've gone to doctors for other things and talked to them about my ADHD, and they're surprised that I even had it. And so one thing that I did is I had eaten some eggs on a regular basis. And eggs have a lot of protein, and they're pretty healthy to eat. And I was even eating them raw. And what happened was I was eating them on a daily basis to get a good amount of protein, and my symptoms came back really strong and really bad. I had problems with focusing, concentration, mood swings, and first I didn't realize what was going on, why my symptoms were so bad, and then I decided to stop eating eggs, and then the symptoms went away like within a day later. So you can eat things that are healthy for most people, but that doesn't mean that it's going to be healthy for a person with ADHD. So if you have a child with ADHD and you're trying to relieve symptoms, or if you have ADHD and you're trying to relieve your symptoms, you have to know how things affect you. And the basics of a diet, of a proper diet, is get a good amount of protein and reduce the amount of carbs and sugar in the diet. Most people's diet has more carbs and more sugar than protein, and the protein amount's probably very little. So what happens when you have carbs, such as sugar or fruits or vegetables, bread, pastas, most processed foods, and these other foods are mainly carbs. If you look on the back of a package, it'll tell you the carb amount, it'll tell you protein amount. Usually carbs are very high and proteins are very low. And processed foods have a lot of additives to them. And sometimes they even have toxins in them, which are really bad for your body. So the best thing to do is stick with fresh foods. And proteins are like meat. You can have there's goat, lamb, beef, chicken, turkey, fish, and restrict the amount of fruits and vegetables. And if you're in tune with your body and you can tell, or if you can watch your child and see how they respond after you feed them, that'll tell you how many carbs you can have. Another good protein source is protein powder, and I use whey protein. And I use J. Rob's because his protein, it's really good. I really like it, and it has the wheys from cows that have not been treated with hormones or with antibiotics, and are free range and grass fed, which means they live a normal, healthy life. And that's what you want from your animals that you get protein from, meat from, is you want them to live a normal life and you want them to be healthy. And the reason why they pump them with hormones and antibiotics is because they take these cows and they put them in stalls and they live most of their lives like that, which is generally short life, and they make them overproduce. So they pump them with hormones to make them produce more milk than what they're capable of doing. Well, then they get infections, they get sick, and their udders and parts of the body swell up really big, and they're get infected and they have pus, and it gets in the dairy, and so they pump them with antibiotics to try to treat and kill off any of those infections and the bacteria problems and all that kind of stuff. So all that gets into the dairy, and then your body consumes it. And if you have children that are young, they can develop really early because of the hormones gets in there, and some people may have problems with different sicknesses that they can't get rid of, or take longer to get rid of because their bodies are full of antibiotics from the milk or the other dairy products. So with your protein and your carb sugars, what happens is you have too many sugars, then your blood sugar will spike. And when your blood sugar spikes, what happens is now you have hyperactivity problems, you have inattention problems, can't focus, can't concentrate, you can't sit still, and all those symptoms should sound pretty familiar. But then when the body's trying to counteract the blood sugar level, then what happens is it brings the blood sugar level down, which then it tends to go down below the normal blood sugar level. So now you have a mood swing problem. So you're going from feeling kind of happy and hyperactive, and then you're depressed, you might be angry, irritable, you still can't concentrate and focus, you don't want to do anything, you don't want to be bothered. And if I'm not mistaken, I think people tend to be called bipolar because of the mood swing issues, which it could be just the blood sugar problems. So the protein will help keep the blood sugar steady, give steady energy, good energy, and when you reduce the amount of carbs, which is reducing the amount of sugar that your body will process, it won't have that extra hyperactive energy and attention and focus and all that. So that's why it's important to have a good diet and reduce the amount of sugars. Now sugar itself, the white powder, the sweetener, should eliminate that from the diet. And I know some people just can't get away from that, so get rid of it as much as possible, or if you can, replace it with something else. There's stevia, which I don't prefer just because it's in this, it's like a leaf, and it's in this weird powder that doesn't easily dissolve. I like using either xylitol or like agave nectar, or like a good honey. So those are some good sweeteners. Now it doesn't mean you can eat as much of that as you want, because it's still going to have the same effect as being a carb or a sugar that will produce the effects. So even fruits and vegetables are considered carbs, and if you have too many fruits, too many vegetables, it can still have a similar effect. Another protein is nuts. So nuts will give protein. One of my favorites I like to do for like snacks, I'll have either nuts and seeds, or I'll have like some jerky. The jerky is really good, and I really enjoy that as a good protein snack because it's also delicious. So you don't want to make your snacks, boring and tasteless to where you're not going to want to eat it. And always do a protein shake for a snack also. And you can add some fruit to that. But what I've noticed with myself, if I add too much fruit, when my brain starts to feel a little wired, and so I know that I've added too much. I have frozen fruit. So that frozen fruit, it helps to cool down and taste a little bit better, kind of give a little bit more of a milkshake taste. And if you need to cool it down a little more and thicken it a little bit instead of making it like a runny, real liquidy shake, you can add ice cubes. So that way you get it to be a little thicker, you can cool it down a little bit more, and you won't get the sugars from the fruit. So that's just a general overview of the diet, and I'm going to be doing more videos of specifics about making protein shakes and those kinds of things, and more about the diet coming up. So make sure you visit my website and let me know if you have any comments.